Guys, welcome to another CEO/Sales Wisdom podcast. Today we have Prateek Sanjay with us. He is co-owner, CEO at Fundraiser, found like a founder, and Razor without an E, so just with an R. Fundraiser. He's in Oslo, Norway. Quite an interesting guy, this Prateek. I love talking with him. Like, we have great conversation, different point of views, and yeah, that adds a lot of values to conversation when you can get multiple insights and different and new perspectives. So Sanjay, welcome to the Prateek. I mean, do people call you Sanjay sometimes, or
They go with the name that's easier, and I'm okay with both of them. Yeah.
yeah? Well, welcome to the pod, Prateek, and tell us a bit more about yourself and Fundraiser.
Okay, so I'm the guy whose life skill set has been to break the ice with complete strangers and making sure that those strangers end up vouching for you to the real hot shots that can make opportunities happen. And now I offer this skill set as a whole business to people. Um, Basically, when I was struggling to get investment banking jobs in Spain, I realized, man, I think those online applications are something where your application goes to die. You write a CV, you write a cover letter, and then they are and just where you can receive a rejection letter with 10 seconds later, you
Yeah.
know. So I realized, okay, this is now working. So I was one of the first people to think, why don't I just spread my network by meeting lots of actual investment bankers and let them meet me in person physically in Madrid, when I was a student there. And then what happened was they ended up speaking about me to all their big industry contacts until one of them came to me inbound and hired me. And that since then I realized it's not about, you know, uh, doing a hopeless numbers game, applying everywhere. It's about winning those top industry contacts who can just pick up the phone, vouch for you, and get you good opportunities coming your way. Since then, this business, what it does is like, if we have a particular founder, we'll reach out to relevant investors in their space in small batches, micro testing the message each week until those investors start talking to each other. And then one big investor says, hey, I heard about you from all my friends. Let's talk and meet. And that's how one client in Dubai, he got a 500K check from a mega angel that we didn't even reach out to, but who had heard of us from their proxies. Uh, and interestingly enough, because these kind of micro testing processes take so much time, the founder just bought back 20 hours a week of their time, and that time he used to just used instead to boost their MRR rather than constantly running these kind of tests. And this is a sign that this taught me my most recent learning. Your ideal customer is somebody smarter than you, because if they're smarter than you, they'll use the time more productively, the time that you save for them. And that's in a nutshell is what I'm doing, people.
Interesting. How did you get there? How did you get to investment banking? Why did you choose that profession in specific?
Okay, so I'm in college in India, and I'm trying to figure out what do I want to do. Do I want to be a trader? Took a trading exam, failed horribly. Went into my shell playing video games all day long. Then I decided I'll take a financial modeling course. I saw I enjoy financial modeling, and then I thought, okay, maybe I'll try to make a run for corporate finance. So that got me these attempts got me a job in wealth management, not corporate finance, but just anything to get me to New York so I can meet actual investment bankers. And then it also got me a master's in finance in Madrid. Yeah. So in the end, what I realized was, hey, there's something off. Just because I like financial modeling does not mean that's what I'll actually do in the job. So I realized, uh, instead of writing these cover letters, assuming about, hey, I like this job, which I've never done in my life, why don't I actually talk to people and meet them and learn about what the job is? And uh, and then I realized, what's interesting about this job is not the financial models or the PowerPoint or the executive summaries. What's interesting about this job is actually learning from industry leaders, like how their domain of business is run. So that's what I realized was my true passion, which is doing anything that requires a deep dive into understanding how a particular business works.
Interesting. And were you like always ambitious and kind of motivated by money? Because I was also that way when I was young, but somehow I never thought of corporate finance to get to the riches, you know?
Well, there is no path to riches in corporate finance, man. I just like number crunching. Dude, let's be honest, man. People who think that they'll become a lawyer and make lots of money, they don't make money in law. People who think that they'll make a lot of money as a coder, you know, there's no money in junior coding. Really, at a junior level in any job, there's no money. You really
Yeah.
just do what makes you feel prestigious and good about yourself.
Mm.
Otherwise, why else would you apply for a job with a 1% acceptance rate on the process?
Yeah.
It's a successful branding experiment where we'd actually pay money to do expensive master's programs. We'd
Yeah.
pay money to do more additional courses, and we make ourselves miserable for the privilege of doing those jobs at that
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
If
Well,
money was gone.
yeah. Well, just for the record, I think these people they can make money. First, the 9 to 5 is very pervasive because you're very time poor, and to be rich, you need to become free, you know, to catch the opportunity when it's in front of you, and so forth. I do think that since they work well, first, most of them are like in big cities, like let's say New York, their expenses are super high. Just to go like networking, that the cost is quite high, and to live there and so forth. And finally, one thing that can play for these people that go for, you know, these classic 9 to 5 that let's say pay 200K a year, um, is the fact that they don't have time to spend much of that money on the weekend. So that may help, but it's really pervasive because it teaches you to operate some way. And now we're seeing with AI that most of these folks might be replaced. I mean, investment banking somewhat different because there's a lot of human skills involved and charisma and sales. So I think they can accumulate some cash in their bank account, and one they have a burnout, and then start to understand that entrepreneurship is probably the only way to get to wealth.
That's actually so true because eventually, after all these years of first trying in the finance industry, and then later on thinking, okay, these jobs are becoming redundant very quickly because how much can you pay for making a bunch of fashion models and PowerPoints? Eventually, none because technology replaces it. That took me to me trying to hunt for a life in the startup industry. Initially, in my youth, the motivation was to feel useful. Feeling useful, especially if you come from an upper middle class background like I did. I've thought, man, I'm so spoiled. Parents and teachers put so much effort in me. I need to give back in some way by being useful to society in some way. And in the end, you know, once your quest to be useful starts burning a hole in your pocket, you realize, okay, I need to find a way to start making money right now. And that's how we end up into the self-employment life. At least I did, you know?
Yeah, yeah. What do you recent news yesterday that I was listening to? What do you think about all these VCs getting into Saudi? We've also seen like yeah, the OPEC kind of trying to control the gas prices. We've heard people saying, "Oh, shifting word order." Ray Dalio. What are your thoughts on Adam Newman praising Saudi Arabia as the ultimate startup country?
3 of my last meetings that were booked inbound were from Saudi potential customers.
Wow.
Okay. So their timing could not be better for asking me this, man. And as I raise prices and tweak my offer, it's increasingly attractive to Saudi customers. Um, Here's the thing: we have not noticed that those Gulf countries, which we thought were all about, you know, just real estate and oil, they have actually used the money made from this in order to actually start upskilling themselves to the point that Saudi Arabia has the world's second most energy efficient supercomputer. Saudi Arabia has a new supercomputer for analyzing all their investment decisions and all their oil exploration decisions. So they don't need to depend on, like, the deep technical experts from America. They're going to do it themselves, and they are actually having all their technical expertise be homegrown. What I noticed is very interesting about the Saudis is the Saudis are way more protective of their personal time than the Anglo-American world. The Anglo-American world loves to optimize meetings, 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 meetings. More meetings is better, and whereas Saudis think, listen, if I have to explain myself over and over again, I don't want to talk to this person. So actually talking to Saudis has helped me build a better quality offer, which is, instead of me having you dumb your language down and talk to people who are not a fit, why don't you only talk to people with whom you can be yourself and nail it? And this particular messaging for Saudi potential customers is actually kind of interesting because I've had the most success produced for clients in the MENA region so far. So what the Saudis are saying is, look, this Western consumer branding mindset of explain it to me like I explained to your grandma, it's they're the ones who are looking at it critically as new outsiders coming into the space, saying, hey, am I really supposed to explain myself to like to your grandma? Because my grandma's not the one buying or investing. So tweaking the whole cold email offer to saying, hey, you explain yourself the way you want to be explained. We keep your language, we keep you in the driver's seat, and we help you vet out and decide who is going to be worth your time or not. This is so attractive to Saudis because they are noticing that the non-stop meeting culture in the West is not ideal. And why do they want to avoid non-stop meetings? Man, because when you live in a 50-degree Celsius heat, those meetings in a stuffy office room start to exhaust you. You can't do them. And the energy for non-stop meetings is bad. And that's why cold outreach agencies struggle to sell to them, saying, hey, I'll book you more meetings. So I was like, no, I don't want more meetings. Stop telling me about more meetings.
Yeah, that's funny. I was about to make a joke that, like, yeah, once they've got their first pre-seed, they can buy some air conditioning or something, and yeah, like until then, it's like, yeah, ramen. Not sure what they eat there, like couscous or rice money. But yeah, nonetheless, interesting point. Often, well, first, I think that people jumping to conclusions, and I mean, I make some kind of extreme predictions on my end too, but I feel that I have so much sources of data that they tend to be accurate. But I don't think that the world order is kind of shifting in itself. Yes, a bit more with China and Russia joining force with China and so forth. But I see talent in Saudi. I see talent in China. Me, I always look at the 1%. So I'm not evaluating classic cultural factors. But if you look at Saudi's track record, it's pretty fucking bad. With startups like Maza-san, which is one of my favorite entrepreneurs. He's really extreme, but he has like fall flat on his face in the last couple of years, and that's fine. Like one of my favorite entrepreneur, Elon, is also falling flat on his face many times nowadays with the AI open later and that bullshit. But I think that indeed it's gonna be super interesting to have different type of mindsets coming to the startup ecosystem and bring new perspective. For example, the meeting thing, or the explain me like I'm five. Explain me like I'm five. I kind of agree, and it's annoying for people that are like high on an intellectual level. And I think the function is most like to have the juniors understand what it's about so that they can communicate and not lash out of frustration. Like oh shit, I don't understand a word of what they said, and they communicated that to their higher peer, and basically nothing happens. But that being said, I think that US, and like, not even sure if that's a debate, but people constantly bringing up the world order. I think that US has such a moat, and their moat right now is Highs Valley slash Cerebral Valley. I think that this is gonna create exponential wealth, that little part of SF, or at least where the communities are amassing right now. And I think that only AI itself could potentially dethrone US in a big fashion. What do you think about that?
Okay, so let's see. Um, this is something interesting because uh, the in order to be a very enthusiastic adopter of AI, you need certain preconditions already in place. You need to have an early adopter mindset. You need to have lots of data. You need to have a data collection process, and you have a clear dashboard that tells you that that data is doing. Luckily, in much of the world, those things don't even exist. And that makes sure that people who are accustomed to working with that are are able to survive. It's kind of interesting because uh, the Americans have access to all their data in a structured manner, in a structured place, in a structured visibility. This is not the case in most of the world. And one Saudi entrepreneur with whom I was hoping to work with soon, his expertise is you can leave your data unstructured, you can leave it without time to train. We can just work with what we have and do it on the fly. And their approach to AI is built on the more chaotic approach. So I agree with you. It's not a multipolar world. It's different markets evolving in a different manner. And what you thought works in America will not work outside it, because America is a very technologically early adopter country. So uh, it's also kind of interesting that I assume that short and snappy emails have a higher conversion rate, which they do in America, uh, mainly. But short and snappy does not work in the Asian countries or the MENA. They're like, okay, uh, my brain can't fill the blanks. I need you to slowly explain, spell it out to me what's happening here, and that requires a bit more word count, you know. And interestingly, while Americans are becoming big fans of the 1 minute pitch, the Saudis don't have one, because they still rely on old school PowerPoints. Um, I think what's really interesting for me to work with non-USS customers is the usual restrictions don't apply. I'll give an example. When I help MENA clients and they get in touch with Russian or Turkish investors, those people feel so shut out, so sanctioned by the planet, that when they get like a MENA company coming to them funding, they're like, yes, we'll take you to the investment committee in 1 week. And it happens, which is rare in America. So I'm not going to assume, I'm not going to announce an early death of the Anglo-American hegemony. I think it's there for a reason. There's a certain business mindset of Anglo-Americans and Canadian Australians which really works. What I think is happening is we need to test new hypotheses and new approach for the other markets. And if it starts working, we'll see some interesting results.
Interesting. And what are your thoughts and recent experience with AI startups? Like, have you seen that explode? Like, what's the quality of the checks that your startups in AI are getting? And is it just like saying add in a .ai after my business name, or is it truly having a technical ML person as a co-founder? Tell us a bit more about that structure and what you're seeing in the current ecosystem.
I'll tell you a nasty truth. I've known for 5 years. No one really wants to back an AI business. You know why? Because an AI business is telling you, listen, I don't know what results you'll get, you got to pay me for me to even train my models on your data sets. So you can even find out what you'll get. In order for you to find out what you're getting, you have to pay me first. That's really scary. That's a scary offer. That's not scalable, and people don't like to buy that. So, and that's why the most popular AI businesses are leveraging an existing AI module, putting a UX on top of it. And you know what? That's what consumers and small businesses understand to be AI anyway. But then the problem is they don't really offer a bespoke attention to what the relevant customers' needs are. Let me tell you, if you and I both know this, if you make the horrible mistake of using an email AI personalization tool, you will see the most ridiculous emails you've seen in your life. And people keep telling me, Prateek, your agency's done. Your AI personalization will put your agency out of business. I'm like, dude, I hear about AI personalization for 3 years, makes me yawn. The worst AI email I saw was, and I prevented it from being sent out right in time. It was, I read on the Daily Mail that you have a child with a woman who's not your wife. And I thought, who the hell would write that investor email? That sentence. Like, so that's how I realized I'm not worried. And the other stuff is AI personalization. I saw you raise a $36 million funding round. Yes, I know. It's on the news. I'm the one who raised it. What's the point of explaining to them that they had a, I saw you won an award. Yes, I know. I collected the award myself. But our insight was, why don't we dig into their YouTube videos that from 5 years ago with only 20 views, find a quote by them, like, Jesus Christ, you did the homework. You found an old ass video of mine that nobody ever actually watched, and you found something interesting I said that resonated with you. I can't ignore you. Let's talk. That's what my agency is doing.
It's
And
like, hey, very nice that I saw that you lost 500K at SVB Bank. Glad to talk. It's like, that's the intro.
no, yeah, actually, like AI personalization references the most damaging personal thing about themselves. Like, oh my God, there's another really horrific AI personalization I've seen, which is so I see that you have 10 years of experience in the pornographic industry before you left and became a startup founder. Like, no, no. Like, I've seen some horrific AI personalization because AI cannot tell the difference between good news and bad news. Oh, I heard the SEC gave you $1 million fine for a district of security without applying for exemption. Like, AI lacks common sense, and we need this kind of human common sense to find out. And the point is that people offering AI personalization think that they've already trained those models and it's already a finished product. Whereas we, who are a human-run company, nothing's a finished product. We're always learning, we're always testing, and we keep finding personalizations which don't work. And as a guy in the personalization industry, so to speak, personalizations are goddamn risky. Sometimes you personalize emails for legal reasons, which is you can't have an email that can't be looked like if it's not written for one person. That's why we personalize. But sometimes over explaining why you're trying to get in touch with the person too much is also socially very detrimental. That a lot of emails would be better if you just skip the personalization and got to the point. I'm telling this as a guy who runs a personalization agency, that personalizations can be very risky. And that's why we ask our customers to vet everything that we send out in their name. But this is the hard part, which is how are we ever gonna people who are liking and commenting and sharing those LinkedIn posts saying, hey, here's how I figured out Chat GPT to do personal scale. Those kind of posts are attracting people who believe in shortcuts. Who believes in shortcuts? People who have not tried and failed before and are not going to put the effort. When people tag me in this post, I know exactly who to mute on my LinkedIn feed because their customers will never, their audience will never be my customers. I don't want them. My ideal customer is somebody who did the work themselves, they got burned, and they learned their lesson, you know? And does that resonate with you as well?
Yeah, I mean, Chat, I think it can be game changing. Chat GPT, like, yeah, it all depends like how you prompt it. I've been working on something in the past couple of weeks. Me, as you know, I want to hit scale, willing to take risks. I also think it can help on a deliverability side of things, but I think we've got like, yeah, different techniques. I think it can be really beneficial depending on how you prompt it. It won't be like magical from day one and write emails the best way possible. It will need human supervision for quite a while. I've been talking with the Apollo team yesterday about that.
Oh my
And
God.
and yeah, it's still yes.
I know. Like their product is so good for finding the people, but their email quality and the way they send emails is so bad that we switched to Woodpecker. And
Yeah,
Woodpecker has been magic for deliverability.
no, it's good. Same for, well, Lemless. It's similar open rates of the ones that I've seen on your side. Um, and it's a very interesting question, because I've been studying. Um, first, when you mentioned like AI, like me, I've started studying AI probably a decade ago. And it was too fucking complicated for my brain to make sense. But just like Bitcoin and these things, it's like, oh, did I miss out? Maybe, or maybe I just arrived at the right time to ride the tsunami wave. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to make here is that I've been fascinated for quite a while about ML, and the major breakthrough of ML is the sheer quantity and the computing power that allowed us to get to the recent breakthroughs. And that got me thinking, is that like the secret key to life? Is it quantity? Is it scale more than quality? Because quality, and if I start using GPT at scale for personalization, I mean, it might use a similar method, but theoretically, if all emails are drastically different,
Yeah.
then I literally need to, I can't like take scientific data out of it. So it's kind of tricky, and a lot of people are talking about using GPT to actually filter the list. Because me, I'm always, yeah, I'm definitely a scale guy. I don't want to be lucky with like one home run in my life, make even if it's a billion. Like I want to reproduce it. And the recent question has been like, will capitalism even matter like anytime soon with AI coming and AGI coming? And just, I mean, that won't happen anytime soon. But let's say that if we're somewhat conservative, it happens in like 15 to 20 years, then it will be an interesting world. But yeah, like I want to finish things off.
Yeah.
I
Tell me.
need to run. Prateek, where can people find out more about you?
Oh, okay. The best way to find out more about me is to search for my videos on YouTube, which I myself did not record, but they were from other people's, like, they are from other people's interviews with me. And I'm glad that I got recorded on those things because some of my best ideas are when I have no preparation and I'm asked them off the cuff that even I forget about. And being forced to say something off the cuff reveals all our true expertise, just like
Yes,
your.
I agree. 100% agree. Well, perfect. Was nice talking. We'll do this again in a couple months. And yeah, people go check Prateek Sanjay out. He's also very uh, loud and clear on LinkedIn. I love his posts. So go check him out there.